Hello there. My name is Marvin Kilborn. I'm a retired public school teacher. Just recently finished telling my complete story about my 15-year career in public education. Just uploaded my last one, why I retired or how I retired when I did. So I've decided to start to try to do some, I guess, reaction videos. I don't know what else you would call them. Somewhat similar to what you might see on the news. A lot of people do this. This is my first stab at it. I hope it turns out okay. But I'm going to do one here on a guy named Daniel Chad Crawford. Daniel Chad Crawford was a local school principal here in Tyler, Texas. He was at what was once called Robert E. Lee High School. Robert E. Lee High School, but then, of course, Tyler, like so many places, got all caught up in this woke nonsense, canceling stuff. So they've renamed the two local high schools in Tyler, Texas. Robert E. Lee is now called Tyler Legacy High School, and John Tyler High School is just called Tyler High School. They dropped John Tyler. I guess John Tyler and Robert E. Lee just had too much negative stuff attached to their names, or for whatever reason. Anyway, this Daniel Chad Crawford, I became aware of this guy. He was a principal at Tyler Legacy High School. And what I have up on the screen right now is his Texas Educator Certificate. We were having our sprinkler system fixed a couple months back, and a guy I was talking to that helped fix my sprinklers we got to talking. His wife's a teacher, and of course I just retired. So he was mentioning that his wife teaches at Tyler Legacy High School, and he was telling me about Daniel Chad Crawford. Well, Daniel was a principal. He was the principal at Tyler Legacy. And of course, here's how it works. Daniel has been accused of something. So the Texas Education Association has been notified by the police department that he's been, being investigated for a crime of some sort. So here's his certificate. You can see he's certified in secondary history, principal. How long has he been a teacher? Let me see. You see all this history, principal, superintendent. So he's certified to be a superintendent. He's been certified essentially since 1998. It's going back a ways, over 20 years. He's been involved with public education. I can guarantee you, promise you, bet you money that this boy was a damn coach. Says here, this individual is currently under review by the TEA Educator Investigations Division. This will be up there for quite a while. He'll be lucky to ever get back into the classroom. All right, what did old Daniel Chad Crawford do? Here's one article about it. It says, police, cocaine, blood at scene of former Principal Crawford's home. So there's Dan right there. It's his mugshot. Not looking too happy. Oh, let's see. Let's read this. What happened? When police arrived at then Tyler Legacy Principal Dan Crawford's home in early June, documents state he was leaned against the back door of his residence with a red face and neck that were completely covered in blood. He was sitting in a large pool of blood and appeared to have a large cut on the back of his head. Apparently there was a fight in his house. Police said the officer saw 2 puddles of blood across the kitchen late at night on June 2nd. That's this year. And next to the sink, the officer found a small baggie with white powdery substance in it. That substance was tested immediately and presumptively identified as cocaine. On June 16th, results from a forensic scientist at the Texas Department of Public Safety lab in Tyler confirmed it was about 0.22 grams of cocaine. I'm not a cocaine expert. Is that much? Don't know. I tend to lean towards Shinerbach myself. So I don't know about cocaine. On Monday, Crawford, 45, turned himself into the Smith County Jail after he met with detectives. He's charged with possession of penalty group 1 controlled substance in a drug-free zone. Apparently, oh yeah, it's coming up. On that same day, he was released from jail on a $1,500 bond. His home on Pinnacle Circle, I'm guessing this is in Tyler, is within 1,000 feet of the premises of a school, which is, in this case, is Three Lakes Middle School. Never heard of it. That defines a drug-free zone in Texas. This offense is classified as a third-degree felony. Let's see. State Penal Code states if found guilty, face 2 to 10 years in prison. Also be punished with a fine not to exceed $10,000. Yeah, he's a principal in Tyler. He's making good money. He probably can afford all this. When officers originally responded, called just before midnight, Crawford and his wife, I've been told that Jennifer's his third or fourth or maybe fifth wife, so this guy's gotten around. Jennifer told police they didn't know how he was injured. Crawford said he did not need assistance, according to the affidavit. Detective on the scene noted the baggie of white substance, and Crawford's wife said it was not hers. The officer said in his experience a baggie is a common form of storing and transporting cocaine. After EMS and the fire department arrived, the detective spoke with Crawford's wife, who said she went to Chipotle for dinner early in the day. She set up her food to eat on the back patio, and she claimed her husband got upset because his food was not already set up for him. So trouble in paradise. Start eating. So they got into a fight over Chipotle food. Crazy. She told the police they began arguing. He started throwing things at her. She said he went into the front bedroom of the house and locked himself inside the room. She then went to the backyard and started throwing things into the yard. Wow. She said the back door opened and she heard her name being called from inside the residence. She came inside to find her husband on the floor covered in blood. What did he do to himself? The affidavit said police observed that both Crawfords were highly intoxicated. Apparently, this guy that helped me fix my lawn, his wife had said that, yeah, this guy Crawford even shows up at school events drunk. That's hearsay, I guess, but whatever. The officer noted Crawford was intoxicated to the point of not being able to tell where he was injured at. He was later taken to the hospital by EMS, and the emergency medical part of the case is closed. Jennifer Crawford, his wife, she's an assistant principal. Oh my God, Tyler ISD, you hiring some quality people here. An assistant principal at Tyler ISD Career and Technology Center is still at her job and has not been charged. Now they need to get rid of her. Police searched the area around Crawford to find any reason why his head injured. No obvious weapons or signs of impact. Police found no signs of a struggle. Crawford then resigned June 4th. Officials accepted his resignation, immediately began filling the vacancy. Crawford was hired as principal at Tyler Legacy in fall of 2016 after coming from Kaufman on June 7th. District officials said Tyler ISD Executive Director of College and Career, Gary Brown, who served as lead principal prior to Crawford, would be the acting principal until an interim. Anyway, that's the story. Drugs involved. Here he is, a high school principal. His wife's a principal at Career and Technology Center, assistant principal. So yeah, these are some of the kinds of people that we have running our schools. So anyway, if you've watched my other videos, here we go. If you've watched my series of videos, I did one on school administrators. I did a lot of videos. And I mentioned a lot of times about how we need to increase the standards, raise the standards. You know, this Dan Crawford character started out social studies and most likely PE. He even looks like the coach if you want, if you want to stereotype. But that's it. I read in another article that this guy's actually a doctorate. He's Dr. Crawford. So he's another one of these idiots that went out and bought this lame-ass Ed.D. degree. So yeah, great. Real professional. You're a principal. You're responsible for, hell, at Tyler Legacy, probably thousands, at least a couple thousand students. You're the one responsible for supervising and managing and counseling teachers. I'd like to know how many teachers this guy got rid of during his career for doing a whole hell of a lot less than using drugs and showing up at events drunk and just acting a fool. But I guess my point here, I'm not going to run this out for a long time because I'm just going to do these little videos, and there's always something education related. But my God, we got to do something about public education in America. These are the kinds of people. Thankfully, this is probably the minority. We have a lot of good people out there teaching and working in our schools. But this guy should have probably never been allowed. If we had higher standards, like I've pointed out in some of my videos, if we had a lot higher standards for people that get to become principals, superintendents, and whatnot, might not have so much of this. I mean, this is really pathetic behavior. I think anybody that sees the story can agree. Funny thing is, these stories are happening all over the country, in all kinds of states and cities across our country, in our schools. A lot of this stuff you're not going to see on the nightly news. Of course, this story, it made the local news, of course. It was all over local TV news and in the newspapers. But don't believe it made it to the level of Fox News or CNN or any mainstream news networks. So anyway, don't know what's going to happen to old Dan. Don't know if he's actually been to court yet or anything like that, but I'm sure he will, and I'm sure he'll be found guilty and pay a price for his big-time mistake. So thank God I'm retired and no longer even involved in that nonsense, but this guy just threw away his career. He'll never work in a school again. So good riddance to bad rubbish, as the British say. And with that, till next time, bye-bye.